Thank you for having me.
That's beautiful. And we have met before because you joined us in this panel talk that we had a couple of weeks ago, and that was such an amazing time to actually get to know a bit about you and your energy. And today is a time for us to get deeper into what you are working with, and you have quite a bit of a description here. Galactic High Priestess, Grid Keeper, New Earth Guide, Elohim, GSF, Kin 139, Blue Solar Storm, Interstellar Service, Elemental Healer, TM, Integrated Holistic Science Therapist, Psychic Intuitive, Reiki Practitioner, Shaman, and Sound Healing. Wow. So where shall we begin? Who are you, Astara?
Yeah, there's a lot to share, I guess. At the end of the day, I'm South African born. I was born in Cape Town in South Africa. And I grew up in Pietermaritzburg. And I came across to Ireland about 15 years ago. In fact, I came across in 2000. And I do have Irish roots in me on my dad's side, but we came across in 2000 and I just fell in love with the land. It just spoke to my soul on a level that I can't explain, you know. So it took a good 7 years to convince my husband. I just fell in love and I just knew at a very deep level that I needed to be here, you know. So we came across in 2007 and we've been living here ever since. And then I guess in the meantime, you know, apart from the physical location and where I moved to, you know, I've been on a spiritual journey for a really long time. Won't give away my age, but you know, it's like most star seeds, you just kind of grow up and you just feel different, you know. And it's all about trying to find people that really get you. So I remember as a child, I kind of like always saw myself as an agony owl, you know, and because I was always like helping people, fixing people, holding space for people, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And as an empath, you suffer a lot because you I think a big part of our journey as an empath is actually learning what is mine and what is yours, and learning to, you know, there was a TV program for kids called the Powerpuff Girls, and the kind of mantra was saving the world before bedtime. So like most empaths, you know, you kind of like have this notion that you're here to help, but you know, it's like you want to do everything for everybody else. But a really big part of the journey is actually understanding that, first of all, we have the concept of free will. So really, it's not my place to do anything for you unless you ask, you know. And also just understanding healthy boundaries, because you know sometimes you give a person a finger and they want to take your whole hand, you know. So it's about learning to say no. And like the journey of in it, it's a massive journey in itself, is learning the concept of self-care and self-love and self-rescue, because when we learn to look after ourselves fully, wholly, and completely, and we've got really strong energetic boundaries, you know, we can actually cope so much better in servicing the collective, because we can do it around, because at the end of the day, when you're holding space for somebody and you're working on healing on somebody, it actually takes a lot of energy out of yourself, because you know there's a lot, it takes a lot, never mind holding a clean space and a clear space, you know, physically, because I'm shifting energy all the time. It's, you know, it takes a toll on myself. And if I don't take time to pull back and go into nature and, you know, rest, like sleep when I need, I've learned over the years to really listen to my body, and I have no problem now. I'm just finding the more sensitive we get, you know, like solstices or equinoxes or portal days, like the Lion's Gate or something. I'm just finding the energy is becoming so incredibly intense. Like your whole body like goes into shock, basically, you know. So it's learning to just say, you know what, I'm just really not feeling it today. Turn around, go back to sleep, do whatever you need to do, or go to nature somewhere. I'm a firm advocate that nature is one of our greatest healers. It's going out into nature, and just letting your body be recharged, and of course we take from our mother and we must give back to our mother too, so when we're in a position, it's beautiful to actually return healing into our mother earth, and just call in your team to just flow in energy into her, because there are plenty of times that we need to withdraw, and just get that nurturing and resting and restoring and recharging and everything else we need. So I probably started like officially coming back into myself an excess of 20 years ago. And as you can see, I did quite the journey. So it started actually in South Africa before I even left. I was just always seeking like people that got me on the level that I was at, so I got into kind of meditation groups. I became a Reiki practitioner. I did basic massage. I used to join in meditation circles, and like do courses where we could like really explore yourself, get to know yourself, all that kind of things. It's just, for me, I find that people tend to think that, oh, we've gone from the 3D into the 5D and we've arrived, woohoo, but for me, in my personal opinion, it's for me, it's a constant work in progress. We never stop learning, we never stop growing. And it's like I always think about those scientific experiments, like where they have little particles bouncing on a sound plate. Most of the time we're striving to be somewhere over here, but some days we go up and some days we go low down, and the rest of the time we're very happy just to stay there, but and like I said to you, and when we were having that panel discussion, it's also understanding that we're in a continuous spiral. We don't travel from point A to point B in a straight line. It's like, if you look back, one good thing about Facebook is when you look back on this day last year or this day 3 years ago, it's amazing how many times there's a common theme. The energy of the day was similar, the things happening in your life were similar. It's so interesting, and every time we return back to the point, it's an opportunity to go that little bit deeper, to get a deeper like an understanding, another opportunity for growth on a higher level. It's we constantly working on ourselves, we never stop, and at the same time we're constantly growing too. So
I like when you describe it like that, because I too see, like, when you have learned a lesson, you practice that lesson, and then you have to relearn in another level, or on other level. So you're constantly moving that lessons further and further and further. So peeling off layers after layers. So yeah, I have noticed that too, that for every year there's a common theme on the Facebook posts, and I so love that when you connect with what's going on before and where you are going to in the next time. You have such a lovely insights. Please go on. Yeah.
So, and then I obviously came across to Ireland, and it's just opening up to more. And I just find it, I've always had a passion for learning, and especially in subjects that I find interesting, and there's just so much like wow out there, that the higher you rise and the more you open up to it, it's so humbling. You just realize that actually I just know nothing.
No.
I don't even know 1% of what's happening in this massive, incredibly intricate, complex cosmos of ours, and like another big part of my journey has personally been to understand, not to get stuck. Goddess Athena used to come through for me for years, and her little mantra was always detach from the drama. And I find that, with all of us, there's just so much wisdom out there, there's so much knowledge out there, and it's incredibly complex because every single one of us is a unique, different, special expression of source, and we multi-layered. And it's like so intricate how it all weaves together that the rational mind can't possibly comprehend it. The only way we can get to is actually drop back into our hearts and just allow ourselves to feel, to be, and like it becomes experiential, because our minds are very limiting. We try and we still got traces of ego, a lot of us. I've seen it along a lot of light workers. We try, it's still fall into ego traps. And there's massive work in itself just to pull back into the heart, trying to stay zero, at ground zero, and just allow everything to play out all around you. Because when we start focusing too much on a specific detail, be it a story or a fact or a information or something, we fall into the trap of getting stuck there. Yeah. So for me, it's really important just because it's so vast and so complex that you can't possibly take it all on board, and you can't focus on like specific things. You can go deep if you want to, because there's a lot of people that specialize in a specific area, and that's great for them. But in terms of it, because it's infinite and there's so much unlimited potential within all of us, I think it is the grace and surrendering into a higher plan, into the divine plan, and trusting in that plan, helps a lot of us to actually not be as limited as we would be as if we got lost in a little point. And at the same time, there's always the light and dark play outs. There is, negative, positive play outs. It becomes really complex. And again, when we start focusing on all of that and paying attention to it, we can fall into a judgment trap, as opposed to just, so easy to fall into those traps, and also for me, it's always been, I find it fascinating, like for argument's sake, when you're doing courses and everything, I prefer to go to the original person giving this. Okay, this is just like a personal example, to the original person that channeled the wisdom. Because I find that when you have a room with like 20 people doing a course or an experience, they're coming through their own filters, they're coming through their own brokenness, their own beliefs, their woundedness, whatever else. And there's a danger of interpretation, Yeah. So I've learned, because like I said, I used to read avidly every book that I could find on any subject that I found. I used to just wolf it down, and then it's because there's, even I don't care how beautiful the soul is or how amazing their wisdom is, there's always that danger of subject to interpretation, for want of a better word. So in my personal opinion, I always encourage people to listen to your own teams and connect with your own, your higher teams of yourself, and starting to trust in what comes through for you, because it's so uniquely tailor-made to you and where you're at your life, that you can never go wrong encouraging your own connections, as opposed to relying on outside of us. Because a lot of the time people, they kind of look to people for quick fixes or solutions, or, to actually help them do the big change. Like, people need to realize that most of us we've all got the power, we just have to have the desire. And at the end of the day, it's just, for me, it's like practicing that, opening up to your teams, listening. The more you listen, the more you receive, the more you can achieve. It's just, but it's like people get frustrated. They want, like a lot of people today, especially I see it in the kids, they want something and they want instant gratification. They don't understand that there is a complex plan, and it's all about divine timing and divine order, and actually letting it happen when it's supposed to happen, and just enjoying now. Where are you at now, and be in that moment now,
It's almost like it has become a hunting for information and wisdom, and everybody wants to express their own thoughts. And as soon as there comes in another person who has another opinion, you change into that opinion because you can't verify it. So to connect it to what you said earlier, the importance of set boundaries and go within yourself, that's ancient wisdom, and more needed to be expressed today, to go inside and actually anchor the information within yourself, and to go into quietness and actually listening instead of hunting the information outside yourself. It's
100%.
yeah, it's like this paradox thing. You have to move forward outside of yourself, but you have to be doing it from the inside.
Inside. Yeah. So, it's so many times you hear the message, to spiral in, to travel inward, and whatever, and the deeper in you go, the more realizations, the more wisdom you receive, and all that kind of stuff. But, it sounds so doable. But in fairness to a lot of people, because we've been so programmed to be distracted,
Yeah.
we distracted it like and taught to behave in a certain way and to act in a certain way and to learn in a certain way. It's become so complicated. Like, you look at children going to school today, it's an institution that really needs to change quite a bit, because children learn so differently. You get kinetic learners, spatial learners, visual learners. There's so many different ways that children can relate. And in fairness, children are meant to be moving around. Their natural instinct is to be kind of free and to flow and to move, and to make them sit in a desk for 8 hours a day and, to only learn in this way is a problem for a lot of people. And at a later stage, because of the pressure that's been put on them, there's a lot of mental health issues and all sorts of other complicated things that come up, because it's there's not enough celebration of diversity
No.
and encouraging people to be that unique expression. And that's what we were intended. You only have to look, like you were saying about your dogs playing, every single dog is different, every flower is different, every tree is different. It's the same with us. We've got so many different multiple combinations of different realms and everything. And it's so important for you to just work on getting in touch with, who am I? How do I process? How do I learn? What interests me? And, working on all those kind of things and staying true to yourself.
Mm.
Because we as humans tend to start comparing
Oh yeah.
to other people's knowledge and other people's wisdom and other people's ways of doing things. You only have to look at some people clairaudiently hear stuff. Some people they see stuff clairvoyantly. And I'm clairvoyantly sentient, but more clairsentient because I feel everything in my body. And it's like, when you start saying, but she does that, wow, it's so amazing, or he can do this, oh, it's incredible. And then we start thinking, well, I feel inferior, why can't I be the same? But it's not meant to be the same. We're meant to be unique, and we're meant to experience differently. And people tend to forget that in trying to blend in.
It's
And
almost like we're getting a structure of how things should be and creating a matrix, and people who are not in that matrix is suddenly not, well, that's so easy to be judgmental of those people who are breaking out from that matrix. So it's really important to, as you said, I do like your way of describing. It sounds so easy, but you are actually narrowing everything that is so important, and more important today and in this now, to actually do your own thing and be who you are, and not fall in that trap of following a lot of others. You can listen into, and you can be guided, and you can be in communities with spiritual people, or in unspiritual communities. But the thing is, you have to live your life and
absolutely.
be aware of using that boundaries to have that time for yourself. And I know that I have struggled a whole lot of things during my, especially my younger age, but still I'm still in this process sometimes, to be there for other people and totally forgetting myself. And then they doesn't have to ask, because I am expecting it from myself to be there, and they are expecting me to be there. And I do know that sometimes I need to just withdraw, and that is a conflict maker sometimes, when you withdraw and you are setting boundaries. But that is more important, because you need to have that space for yourself. You need to make that safety room and breathing hole for yourself, so you can actually gain the information and grow as a human being in your experience right now.
Yeah. You know what? And on that note, Eva, there's actually, for all of us, a lot of us, especially starseeds and all of that, you know, there is so much work in finding the balance. Because, you know, we were put into communities, we were put into like school environments where we always had crowds and everything. And yet a lot of us actually were happiest when we were on our own, you know, but we forgot to honor the space of being on our own. But then at the same time, the danger is that we can get so stuck in our own ways and our own routines and our own needs that we forget that we actually came to this earth to help our community. You know, so it's like, it's so many aspects of our lives. It's about finding the balance, you know, between service to others, between service to ourselves, and just, you know, finding harmony really at the end of the day, you know, between the masculine side, the feminine side, between being on our own, being in a people, being understanding that we are everything, we are nothing, you know, we're such complex beings. But it's so important also just for everybody to remember that it's very, in order to really achieve higher heights, we tend to become reclusive and withdraw. But at the same time, we also meant to be experiencing and connecting. So, you know, we're swinging between the two and trying to make an effort, because otherwise we lose sight of why we're really here. You know, we're here
It's an
to actually
infinite symbol. We're going back and forth all the time.
100%, you know, as above, so below, as within, so without, so as the body, so the soul. It's just constantly this kind of, you know, backwards and forwards. But yeah, so a reminder to self, you know, don't forget there are people out there, because in fairness, sometimes it does get challenging, and it's easier to be with dogs and trees and
Yeah. That,
and small children, you know, because it's purer. We crave the purity and the peace, you know. But that's not, unfortunately, most of the time we grow through the biggest challenges and the biggest darknesses, you know, such massive opportunities for all of us to grow, you know.
but it's beautiful times and we love it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, because you know it's just it's priceless when you have that sense of accomplishment and your achievement. You know, sometimes it's really painful, and it's, you just want to curl up into a ball and stay on the floor and just say, "Not today. I'm not going anywhere." You know. But when you get up and you're victorious, it's such an amazing feeling, because you just like it's so liberating, isn't it? You know.
It sure is.
Yeah.
You also mentioned when we were talking, or you were talking earlier, that a lot of this movement that is going on with inside is vibrational, and that got me thinking about the sound healing that you were making. I took it out of its concept, but the vibration brought me into the sound healing, because as you said, it creates a pattern, like grains on a form, and when the vibration comes, it creates a pattern. And sound healing is affecting us in such a beautiful ways, because the vibrations actually make us, as I see it, the molecules jump as grains to the vibrations within. So what?
It's a good way of breaking up in it, you know, like obviously with sound healing, it's like there's a multi-layered, because for me, everything at the end of the day, it boils down to frequency and vibration. And when we're having the sound coming in, it actually can break down stagnant energy in our bodies, specifically if you talk, you know, with different means, different sounds, different notes are like, you know, like for argument's sake, with singing bowls, you get different notes that are resonating with different parts of the body.
Are you
And self,
using singing bowls, or what are you using? Your voice, or your singing bowls?
no, I actually instruments.
Instrument?
Um, yeah, my personal favorite is, I suppose that's a shamanic aspect inside of me. I really love the sound of the drum. And I've got indoor and outdoor drums. There's so much power in it, you know, because you can play it really softly, or you can really, like, I've got a big 22-inch drum, and the sound is it like literally vibrates right through you. It's very powerful, you know. I've also got rattles, shamanic rattles. I've got Tibetan singing bowls. I've got solfeggios, frequencies that are designed to hit certain notes, like you get the tone of creation. And you know, it's a beautiful way to clean crystals as well, to charge your crystals, that kind of thing. And then I've also got the Koshi chimes. that are like, I call them fairy chimes. They sound like fairy bells in the wind. Yeah, so it just depends on, the need, part of the body, and that, and it just brings back flow. There's a lot of solfeggio pre-recorded music on YouTube that's great to just listen to just, you literally just lie and listen, and it does so much on your body without you even knowing. Can be used for all sorts of applications.
Yeah, it sure does. Because you're a priestess, a high priestess, and you're a shaman or a shaman woman, shawoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you have the high priestess everything with you when you came to Ireland, or was it drawn in some kind of activation when you landed there because you have like the Irish roots with you? Did you
At,
reconnect with them?
um, at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier on, Eva, it's been like a continuous journey for me. And my personal belief is that every one of us that is drawn to a specific modality, for want of a better word, um, uh, you know, you've actually done it in a previous lifetime. So coming back here now into this lifetime and actually exploring avenues like, let's say, working with tarot cards or angel cards, or working with sound, or doing kind of rituals or holding energy, because I'm also a grid keeper and I work a lot with crystals. Um, is my personal experience is it's actually like part of your soul aspect, that you've brought in, and it's just when you get to a certain point, it's like you unlock the door, you unlock the key, that you'll find it. We are at any given stage, I believe that we are the teacher or the student. And in a previous lifetime I might have been a teacher, but this year I'm in a student, and I am opening up to what was before.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are drawn to a specific modality because it's in their soul history, and they merely just unlocking it. Sometimes, with some stuff, like with, for arguments, light language or something, it's activated within people. It's not something that's really taught.
No.
You might have somebody that might align you and open it up to you, but it's already within you at the end of the day. That's my experience.
For as I see it, when people ask me like, "What are you doing?" I can have say like everything is connected to each other, and we do know that is the truth. So we are a little bit of everything, and just to have names on certain things that we are doing is somehow a way to better help express to others what we are doing. But when we actually are, when I'm in a healing process, I saw you were a Reiki practitioner too. So it's not always that I'm working with a specific lineage of healing. I can use different.
Multiple, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah,
I tend to work like that. I like to see myself as a facilitator,
yeah,
um, in the sense that I believe that a lot of it is already within us, and I'm actually just holding space for you to unlock whatever is within you, whatever you need to heal. I'm holding space so that you could face it and you can feel it and you can heal it and let it go. So what I tend to do, like my way of working, is I just completely from the heart. I one thing that I've noticed over my years, because I've done so many different like courses and everything, is just intention. It's not always taught or mentioned, and yet for me it's so paramount, because if we come from the heart and we set a really pure intention, you can't go wrong, because it's always going to be for the highest good of yourself and for the people that you work on. And then it's just like literally getting out of the way, because I can't tell you specifically, I don't have a set team, because I'm calling in my highest teams and your highest teams, and I literally just let it channel through me so that you get what you need the most in that moment, without interference or limitation from myself. It's what's meant to be for the highest good in that moment. And that's just how I work. So it's just, I work with so many different realms because with the Elohim and my personal, I'm a hybrid. So I have a really strong connection with the elementals. I work with dragons, I work with unicorns, I work with archangels, I work with ascended masters, I work with star seeds, galactic beings, whoever's needed in that moment will come through to me. And it's just with a bit of luck, it's all I is good minus the ego, it's just allowing really, because there is a higher plan, there is a bigger wisdom than we can actually perceive sometimes. So it's just coming from the heart and allowing at the end of the day.
Sometimes I can see like it's vibration that working itself down, and the frequency is the name labor, so to speak. So it's easier to just say that like I'm this and I'm that, and but still it's the same structure of vibration and frequency that are working in different layers. So
Yeah, and it's just like a higher title basically at the end
mm,
of the day. But the danger with having a name is that it puts it into a box and it becomes limiting. And that's why at the end of the day, I'm really a firm advocate for opening up and allowing what will be will be,
mm,
the kind of way. And it's not necessarily fitting into a specific box, because even if we were trained in the same way, our execution will be slightly different because there's always that personal touch, you know.
yeah.
Um, and filters, our own filters, and where people can only come from their level of awareness and where they're at, so it's depending on what's going on in your unique situation and your experience, that's going to impact on whoever's drawn to you, because at the end of the day, it's, as I said, everything's vibration and frequency. So people tend to be drawn to somebody that they connect with on a frequency level,
Yeah,
so
that's so true. I'm still looking at one of those things that you have put on your description, and that is Kin 139 Blue Solar Storm. And I always wonder, what is Kin? What does that stand for? I have no idea.
well, you would focus in on the one that is going to be a little bit tricky for me to explain. I was actually in a group, and I had friends that are much more. There's actually a book out. I can't forget the guy's name now. I think it was Paul Rudd, and he goes into an enormous amount of depth, but it of that particular thing, and so what had happened was we were in a group work session doing grid work and that, and somebody shared a link, and you put in like your birth date and all of that, and then it comes and gives you the information, and it gives you like a specific little symbol. So it was like a blue square with a symbol on it. And that's where I got it from, and I'm certainly not going to actually comment on that, because it's not something that I've gone into deep enough. I wouldn't be comfortable to speak about it, but it's, yeah, if I can find the link, Eva, I'll share it with you, and then you can see what comes up for you, but it's, for some people, it's like a guiding signs, where they actually, it tells you your personality traits and all that kind of, it's really interesting. It gives you like a quite a clear and precise definition
Okay.
of of how it all works. It's quite multi-layered at the end of the day,
Yeah, so you can also use it on places or specific.
Yeah, the people are using it for, like, the people that have studied it have actually used it for so many multiple applications, for a personal level, to understand about yourself,
Mm,
in a familial setting, to understand, your partner, your children, all that kind of stuff. And then just looking at, like, geographically locations and all of that, because obviously, with grid keeping and all of that, the different areas with different energies, and, dragon ley lines and all sorts of things, so
interesting. I'm looking forward
yeah,
to that link so I can get deeper into what it is.
yeah.
So I do know that you are a teacher, and you have a lot of courses that you are doing and have been doing throughout the years. So where are you at now? Do you have anything that you are starting up, or are you changing course into something new, or what is happening with Austara now?
I think at the moment, I think most of us are just rebuilding again from COVID, you know, because a lot of us that did on hands-on therapies
Mm-hmm.
became so limited with having people into the space. And, you know, it just, for me, I stepped right back, to be honest with you, Eva, because I just couldn't deal with masks and, you know, because I'm quite a free spirit, and I like flow and openness and honesty, transparency, all the kind of things. So I've learned in the interim, like over COVID, I actually did elemental healing, and I loved it because it connects. I've always loved and been fascinated with the elements as such, but it goes so much deeper than that, because it's not just about the directions and, you know, air and fire and water and earth and spirit. And every single one of those elements is actually elemental beings that people work with, you know. So for argument's sake, in fire we have salamanders, and we have fire dragons, and we have volcano dragons, and all the kind of things, you know. But the only way I can describe it is it's like a Reiki, but without starting a debate and getting people upset, because, you know, being politically correct, in my opinion, in my experience, it's like 1,000 times stronger than Reiki, because you're bringing in a multiple layered directional, you know, modality. And I found that it's actually workable to do by proxy method, which means that I don't actually have to have you physically in the room with me. I can work with you in Australia or New Zealand or anywhere like that. And I've used it as a base because it actually ended up opening up so much more for myself, because, you know, it wasn't just earth elemental, it became kind of galactic, because I mentioned before to you that I'm actually a feline elf hybrid from a galactic descent. And so I've got, you know, my dragons and unicorns and all of that come in as well. And it's just in light language comes through, and, you know, it becomes like quite again, it's very hard to like put it into a little
Yeah, in the
bracket, you
box.
know, in a category, because it's just so multi-layered and it comes through. So I've been working on that, and that's why I was panicking about the time for today, because I was actually doing a client this morning, you know.
Oh, yeah.
um, and so it was just but that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And in the meantime, it's just, as I said, constantly growing, learning more about our galactic history with a lot of my grid keeping friends, and earth keeping friends and all of that. It's also working on unity and working on remembering a lot of because there was so much for those of us that have been way back, you know, yourself, been so much fragmentation, there's been so much distortion. So it's been navigating through some really tricky waters, because, you know, the deception and the inversions and all of that runs really deep, it goes really high. And I think a lot of us, and I'm speaking for a lot of us that are going as high as we can go, it's really trying to rebuild yourself, because, you know, so much of what you thought you knew, so much what you believed in, has turned out to be an illusion.
Surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and people are seeing things like completely differently. You know, the energies are changing every day. You know, I think most of us, particularly this year, since January, has just found that it's been off the charts. It's like every say, I like, to be honest with you, I've got nothing against my beautiful friends that do like astral reading, you know, astronomy and the energies and all of that. Like, I mean, they're amazing people, and there is a benefit to look and see what's happening so you can know what to expect. But at the same time, I'm finding that it's been so intense and changing so rapidly that it's kind of like I'm just in the moment experiencing. And I think integration is key for a lot of us. You know, it's like physically, because at the end of the day, you've got energies that are like right up until like the 12th dimension, and you housed in a 3D body. So you're trying to narrow the gap, and your bodies have to change, and your diet has to change, and your sleep patterns are changing. It's just, I think for a lot of us, the focus is just actually keeping your head above water, basically,
Yeah,
and
it's so
try,
true. It's so true. Yeah.
and that's why I was saying to you, like right in the beginning, I'm just finding more and more the danger of attaching to stories, to themes, to ideas, to any of that kind of stuff, because it's comes with a limitation. If we truly want to embody what's coming, we actually have to be so open minded, well, not even minded, let's just say we have to be open to receive.
Yeah.
And we receive through the heart and trust and surrender. We stay neutral and we stay open. It's so important, because it's just, otherwise it becomes limiting again, and we fall into like what was, when we're really trying to create what will be. But yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment, and just trying to encourage people to stay in that space as well, and just allow,
Mm.
really just be physically present in the now, experiencing this teeny tiny moment, so we can get ready for the next ones that are coming.
Yeah, because it's constantly changing. And
It's
I
ever
know,
shifting,
yeah, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I felt so total knocked out. My body was so physically heavy that it was almost a difficulty to move it. But I was feeling good in my mind and everything, so not that. So yeah, it's hard to even plan for things that includes other people at this moment. So yeah, this is really a time to to be sure to get inside of yourself and get your things
Yeah,
together.
I just, for me, it's so experiential. It's like actually just playing with the energy, like stepping outside barefoot on the ground and just letting it flow through you and see how it makes you feel,
Mm.
you know, because and then like letting it, allowing it to be like to become it,
Mm.
because I've noticed even like when we've had like intense days, like we've just had this lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar, the blood moon full moon lunar eclipse, some people like started feeling the effects like 2 or 3 days before. Other people felt it on the day, and then other people still felt it slightly like within, because there's always a 24 hours before, 24 hours after portal, and some people felt it in their head, some people felt it in their bodies, like everybody's feeling it so differently. So that's why I just keep emphasizing it's so important to stay in your own lane,
Mm.
and just how do you feel, and what is it doing to you, and where are you going from here. It's yeah, because otherwise you start, there's that pressure
Mm.
to perform and achieve and receive, and it's just everybody needs to remember. I actually pulled some starseed cards for us from Rebecca Campbell's deck, and I'll talk about them just now.
Mm.
But it's, the message is very much just that, it's all about timing, divine order, and where you're at, just go with that.
And I love the concept that you said you have to be like going out there and just being playing around a bit and be open minded to feel what's actually happening. And that brought back a memory like yesterday night when I was at work. I the floor actually started to move. I felt like it was moving up and down, and it felt so physically. Of course, it didn't do that. Um, in other ways, other people's minds they saw a floor, but to me it actually felt like it was moving. Every step I took in a certain place, the floor would just follow the steps that I took, and that was pretty amazing. And if I didn't open up to see the beauty of these changes that we are passing through, I probably would have freaked out. So I guess that everything that is happening is not just to me, everybody's experienced them, but it's confusing because they don't know how to handle it. So that is also an importance that you said, like even though we are inside of ourselves, we need to express it out in the community, so we involve and be a part of what is going on for others.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all coming from a different perspective at different times. We at different positions and everything else. And sometimes when we stand in our truth and we stand in our power, and we stand in our vulnerability, which is also important. Because there are days that you feel that you've had the wind knocked out of your sails, and you're
Yeah.
trying to find the balance again. Because you've got people all around the world working on specific things that have been wrong for so long. And it's so ingrained in our cellular memory, it's so ingrained in our soul memory. And now suddenly it's been rewired. So, of course, there's going to be knocks at different levels to different people. We are bringing back the divine feminine, so the divine masculine has to adjust. And we integrating in the heart. And aligning through the heart, on different levels this way, different levels this way, all sorts of things. But yeah, so it's important. But the point I'm trying to make, the more transparent we are, the more vulnerable we are, it just gives people around us permission to experiment and be brave enough to step out of their comfort zones, because we are stepping out of everything we've known before. It's completely new territory. And there's a lot of people I find, there's been so much emphasis about repairing and restoring, but people need to also understand we're not here to be the same. We're here to bring a whole new earth, a whole new vibration. So, of course, it's going to, we have to be willing to change as well, and it puts a lot of people out of their comfort zone,
Oh,
because
yes. Yeah.
we human beings, we tend to like to be, controlling of how things are in our lives, because it makes us feel safe. So,
Yeah.
like you were saying, when you felt the floor moving, it's natural and instinctive to be like insecure and like, wanting to hold on to something for support. But then, it's like trusting that I can go with the flow and I can move across this changing floor. It takes a little bit of courage.
It sure does. It sure does. But
Yeah.
it's also very fun when things happen. So you can actually have physical proof for yourself that it's something is happening. Because that brings me back to another thing. You're a grid keeper, so you are probably working a lot more than the common ones at the moment, in these extremely shifts that are happening in every second of the time right now. But because that is how I feel it, everything is constantly shifting in every second at this moment.
Yeah,
So
it's also important just to remember, just sorry to interject there, Eva, but the thing is that it's like the guys that are working on um, the grids and the concepts and that, they're working in the ethers, and it's set at a certain vibration, or a dimension even. And then it's got to filter down into the physical, and it's coming through those layers, and the energy is denser as it comes down. So it takes a while, so a few months back, let's say we were working on restoring the divine feminine templates. Now people are like, I've been noticing a lot of people have been having womb issues and restoring the feminine side of themselves, and that, so it takes time. Because people need to understand, it could be a month, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years. It's time is not linear the way we know it. It comes in divine timing through the layers. And because it's coming through from what was out there, groups are working out there, it's impacting, and then it comes through the layers slowly to the physical as well. So we're constantly experiencing on so many levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that's why I keep going back to integration. It's important we allow the integration and to actually adjust, because it is an adjustment,
it
you
is.
know yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. And that brought me back to where we just started. It's not like we are shifting into 5D from this moment to next moment, and everything is just, wow, I'm here, let's continue. Because that will totally mess up our minds and mess up our bodies, because that integration hasn't been filtered in. So you can be in the energy, but the density needs to shift slowly, the integration. It's like when you're working with healing, you're starting to work in the with the etheric bodies, and then it slowly gets back into your physical body. That is
Yeah.
how I see it.
And of course, the other complicated thing, Eva, is that you actually got, like, for argument's sake, in a family.
Mm.
You know, you might have awakened and you might be on a certain level, but you could have a partner that's on a completely different level, or your children haven't got there, or your parents haven't got there. So another, you know, a lot of people are walking basically with one foot in, you know, 5D or 7D, wherever they're at, you know, and the rest of it is trying to kind of keep the door in the 3D, you know, because they're waiting for family members to catch up, hoping they're going to catch up. They might not catch up, you know. So it's like people are kind of lopsided because you're trying to be in two places, you know, and practically, you know, it's a very different story if you like on your own and you're single and you can be fully in that place, you
Mm.
know. But there's a lot of people that are in relationships or, you know, supporting our elderly parents or young children or something, and it makes it really difficult to
Mm.
actually be fully completely integrated in one specific area, you know. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, that's why I keep saying it's so complex. It's really not, the mind has no place in the
No.
future because it's too limiting, you know. You're trying to visualize everything, trying to comprehend everything. It's just nothing we've ever done before for
No.
any of us, you know, even if we've been in the history and we've been looping and doing things for lifetimes, you know. At the end of the day, it's a whole new area because we've reworking so many templates and all sorts of things. So it's quite exciting, you know.
It's
But
exciting. It's a learning experiment for everybody at
yeah,
this moment. I
yeah.
need to ask because I've been scrolling down your Facebook page and there's some beautiful pictures of you and your, I guess there are co-workers with your robes on. So I guess that's a ceremony that you have been posting there. Is that true, or am I getting it wrong? It looks like you have this beautiful ceremony things gathering.
Are you talk? I'm just
Uh,
trying to think.
well,
Yeah.
those pictures you have on your Facebook page, uh, it's a it's a cross, a blue cross behind in a circle. Is that from this shaman work that you are doing, or?
I'd have to look and see exactly which one you mean because in my journeys there's been a lot of change. I was working in you know, so there is so many different things, you know, because I've got Celtic friends that are like have druid energy, and we gather on the hill and we do drumming. You know, I was involved for a bit in trying to think how to explain it, working with in a healing circle, and we're all in white,
Yeah, that's the one
working.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
blue cross,
Okay, it's okay. The blue
Celtic
cross,
cross.
and it's got a rose in the center. Yeah, that was from a while back. I was working with a beautiful soul called Eliza White Buffalo, and she had a ministry, for want of a better word, and it was really kind of like a healing circle. People used to come, and because she channeled, I myself and my soul brother at the time would worked with others. There were a few others that actually held the energy for her so that she could let herself go and let almost like a kind of a trance, you know, where people would come through as a channel and she would be working on specific issues in the circle. So we would be holding the space, we drum, you know, to help the journey, whatever we needed to do, you know. Um, and
Beautiful.
that is actually, it was her logo. It's called the two road symbol, that cross that you see. It comes from, it's got a native influence. She works with, one of her spirit guides is Black Elk. And it's showing the, like a balance, you know, it's held in a circle, the concept of all of us working together as one. And then it's the perfect symmetry with the horizontal and the vertical axis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what, and then obviously, you know, a lot of the divine feminine works through the heart of the rose. That's why she's got the rose at like kind of at the midpoint, which represents the heart, you know, working with that thing. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that because I guess when people get a bit curious, they are googling up you and then they're going to see that picture. So of course that is, you know, you get curious about what it is, and then
Oh yeah. So we used to travel. All like Eliza's actually set up north, and I'm in Southern Ireland. But we used to travel all over Ireland and hold ministries. And then people used to come, and it was just a beautiful space actually.
yeah, it seems very heartwarming and very beautiful picture. So it has a lot of energy. So I guess you were working with energies, and now you have confirmed you were. So that's
Yeah, we were definitely.
uh, before we are going to wrap it up here, will you just show us what cards you were working with? Do you have them there?
I do. So it was really a lot of what we discussed. I don't know if you're going to see them. The first one that came up was the breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe.
Oh,
Okay.
beautiful. Breath of the
Okay.
yeah.
And really, yeah, it's actually so lovely because it's just showing the energy coming in. And I don't know if you can see, Eva, it's actually a girl floating.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
structure. Yeah.
Okay. And it's really just a reminder that we were saying, when we come from our kind of traditional way of being, we try and fit everything into our level of understanding. And we try and impose our will, but there is a huge healing and wisdom and grace in understanding that, there is a higher will, God's will. And when we align with a higher will and allow, we're not limited in any way. There's so much more that we can achieve because we're opening up to that infinite source energy, that infinite potential creator energy. And so much more can come through, especially when we always align to the highest good, and it becomes not so much us trying to put it in a box and micromanage, and it's got to be in this way and that way, and it's going to happen on this day kind of thing. It's actually just completely surrendering and saying, I'm aligning my will with your will, and what will be, in perfect divine order and perfect divine timing, and trusting in the process. The next card that came out, forgive me, my Welsh friends, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, but it's Hiraeth, Hiraeth. And it talks about, it's the beautiful soft pinks and mauves, which is quite, peace. Pink for me is always like peace, healing, harmony, just floating in that fluffy pink cloud. And then shades of purple always for me is like the transformational flames, like Saint Germain.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and it's I don't know how, if you can see, beautiful soft pinks and
Yeah.
mauves.
And
Yeah,
someone standing on the top of the mountain there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With a kind of, it kind of looks like a little lantern. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see. Yeah. Okay. And it's really just talking about how many of us as star seeds have come into this earth, and we've always had this kind of nostalgia, longing for a home, but not really understanding what the home was all about. And the different aspects of that is, of course, some of us were in Lemuria or Atlantis or any of those ancient civilizations, and they've gone. A planet, we've come from planets that have imploded, and there is no physical way to, reconnect at that time. It's a memory.
Yeah.
Or we simply came from source energy, which we know, and we're longing for the unity that was when we are one with God. We're longing for that nostalgia, and we're homesick for the stars. But it's a reminder to ourselves that we actually chose to come here. We wanted to be here. And we are meant to be experiencing, we're meant to be observing, taking in, integrating, absorbing, assisting, doing all of those things we signed up for. So it's like, it's not saying don't feel it, but it's like saying don't make that your focus. Remember to ground, bring everything that you are fully into the now, grounding deep into the roots of the earth and embodying it all in your physical body, so that you can do the mission that you came here to do, you know. And the last card that came out is such an important message for all of us always. It's about trusting in the timing.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Trust the wave that you came in on. This is so important. And because time's not running out. At the end of the day, you know, we've got people that have come, we all, like people are awakening at different times and at different ages and at different stages and in different ways. And it's just so important for us to remember there is no competition, there is no comparison. It's trusting that you are exactly where you're meant to be, doing what you're meant to be doing, and it's all perfectly okay. It's trusting fully and completely and when you're at, because you're you and you're part of a specific wave, you know, so be comfortable with where you're at. Don't put pressure on yourself to be something that you're not ready for or you're not meant to be doing. You know, that's the other side of the coin, because we've come from so many different sides of that circular source energy that we've all got a different understanding and a different timing and a different role, you know. It's like I was saying earlier on, we experience differently. So you might see, I might feel, but doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong. It just means that we experience differently and it's okay, you know, and together we can learn and grow. So it's just important to go back into that, you know.
Yeah, and you put it so well, and that is the main thread that you have been talking about, like going inside of yourself and just be who you are in this now, because the transformation is happening. So
Yeah.
experience what is going on. And I always feel like I do know that you work with Earth, with Gaia, and it feels like these messages are coming from that field, that energy of like I am already moved on, and now it's time for you to step into your role and keep up with me, because she's moving on
Yeah.
and we are not. So we are, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a red thread, a theme that runs through what you have been talking about, and you have put it so well. So I do recommend that everyone who is listening to this is going back and listen to this again, because there is so much beautiful. It's almost like a channel message from higher realms in here, like get your shit together right now, and move on in a loving way.
Yeah.
That is it. Do you want to finish off with something?
Um, I can see what comes through if you want on the light language side, and people can listen to whatever comes through. And it's obviously always held with an intention that we receive what's in alignment with the highest good. Okay. Hasia matasataria nakasatako imasatatai nakasatatia masakatatia nataria makasatati. Hasia masakatatoria makasatataria nakasatatia masakatatia nasakataria makasatai nasakatatai masatatai nakatati. Hasia masatakatoria nakasatataria makasatatoria makasataria nakasatai makasatatia nakasata. Hasia masakatsoria makasatasia nakasatia nasakatia makaria nakasatia nata. Hasia masatatia nasokui mataria nakasatatia nasakataria nakatia masatania. Hasia masakatataria nakasoto isha mataria nakatatia masatataria nakatia masati. Hasia masatasia nakasotokoria makasatia nasatatia nasatakai masatati. Come back into your heart. Breathe right into your center and open up to endless possibilities of seeing, being, feeling, knowing, trusting, surrendering. Trust in your own self, in your own team. Use discernment in who you accompany yourself with. And allow yourself to be very gentle with yourself as we go through this time of change. Integrate into every cell of your body. Feel it, know it, be it, trust it. and know that you are a multidimensional being based on a foundation of love. You are not here to endure, you are here to live, you are here to thrive, you are here to enjoy every moment of your life. Be the joy, find the joy, create the joy. There are no limitations. Believe that anything is possible and you will be it. Sending so much love from my heart to yours, from our heart to yours, with love and gratitude. Phew.
Thank you. And that was really something that was I felt in my heart, in my heart space. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for everybody who has tuned in and will tune in here. And we will put Astara's link to her Facebook page. And do you have a home page?
I've got that. Yeah, I've got another business page I can send to you as well.
Yeah.
And we can put it on both.
Yeah, then
Okay.
we'll put that link too, so people can
Okay.
get in touch with you, so they can get guidance or whatever they want to communicate with you, if they need guidance or help in some way. So,
Perfect. Perfect.
thank you. It's such a blessing. You have such a beautiful energies, and you're so full of knowledge, and you're putting it out there so elegant and understandable. So once again, thank you so much, Astara. And
You're so welcome. It was lovely chatting to you, Eva, and wishing you infinite blessings for the weekend. Keep shining. Thank you for all you are, and thank you for all you do. See.
yeah, thank you. And with that, we're saying goodbye. Be safe and stay in high vibration. Love you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Lots of love. Bye.
And then we have stopped the